Welcome to the Indian Gaming Association's The New Normal webcast. My name is Lisa Johnson. I'm the conference manager for the Indian Gaming Trade Show and Convention. I'd like to share a few housekeeping tips before we get started. Everyone is muted by default except for our speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question or chat box and they'll be brought up at the end. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Victor Rocha, conference chairman of the Indian Gaming Association.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Rocha. My co-host is Jason Giles, and this is A New Normal. In today's conversation, we're talking to Chairman Ernie Stevens, Jr., Chairman of the Indian Gaming Association, and Brian Sullivan, Vice President of Gaming for U.S. Clarion Gaming Group. Hey, everyone. By the way, I said Chairman Ernie Stevens, Chairman of the Indian Gaming Association. Chairman isn't his first name, although, you know, it seems like it sometimes. Welcome, everyone. So listen, our show is almost here. This is really exciting. You know, it's always one of those things, one of these shows that you don't know how it's going to be. Last year we were in a beautiful a Fort McDowell reservation at their resort in the desert, which was just absolutely stunning place to be. And this year we're at Foxwoods in Connecticut, which is also an incredibly stunning facility. So Chairman, welcome. Brian, welcome. Let's talk about the show. I think everyone is, I think if you're not going, I guess most people go, why should we go to IGA midyear? Chairman, why should people go to IGA midyear?
I think that, that's where everybody's going to be. Our room block is sold out. We've had to try to get some more rooms, and it's East Coast. We try to move around the country, like you said. Fort McDowell, we were part of their big celebration last year, and it's always some kind of attachment to our gaming world to highlight some of our communities, our facilities, and these tribes. They really roll out the red carpet. Whether it's at Fort McDowell and here at the Mashantucket Pequot tribe. This is a beautiful setting, and I think it's important to appreciate that not only is it a beautiful setting, but the leadership is going to be there, and we'll talk about important facts and figures. Whether it's our gaming numbers are upward. I got it here in front of me: $43 billion industry. And then when you could add the ancillary, it's five more billion, so it's $48.4 billion industry. And when we come together, we not only try to figure out why we're doing so well, but we're trying to figure out how we can continue to be consistent. A lot of folks were worried about those numbers coming out of the pandemic, and if they were real numbers or if they were pandemic numbers. And now we're starting to get to kind of leveled off, and the numbers are still consistent. And I think it's important to appreciate that those numbers are consistent, and we consistently continue to do precautions, because, as you know, that the pandemic is, those kind of concerns are still out there. COVID-19 is still out there, so we continue to be careful. But I think it's really a celebration to the extent that we come together to analyze the industry, and not just analyze what brought us to where we are, but where we're going next. And that's really the key. That I think the New Normal is a good title, because we have to help each other build forward and utilize what we did to get through this. And like I said, not everybody's doing good. We got to help those tribes that need us, that continue to struggle.
Right. Chairman, Ernie, go ahead, Ernie. Go ahead, Jason.
Coming out of COVID, we were talking about the new normal and new ways of doing of business, and these numbers, 39 billion coming right out of COVID, and then follow that up. And we told everyone, well, don't look at the 39 billion because people are held up, pent up demand and whatnot. So, it's 44 billion to break through 39. This might be the new normal. People are spending like crazy. Our room block sold out, like you said, and Foxwoods has got a brand new expansion that they want to showcase for Indian country and tribal leaders. And we're taking the IGA NCI task force there, which I got to believe is driving some of the traffic that's pushing everyone forward. But the spending is not slowing down. There's new numbers coming out. They're actually starting to worry about inflation again. because unfortunately, unless we get, more unemployment and people spending less, inflation's going to continue to be a worry. But people are willing to spend at the casinos, which is good news for Indian country, because their dollars don't go as far as it used to. But, with Hollywood on strike, what's your entertainment options? So, tribes are in a good position right now.
That's a really interesting take on it, because I think what's very timely is the fact that, we're at Foxwoods, and here's a property that has really done a lot to prepare itself coming out of the pandemic to be more recession proof, not just gaming, but entertainment and restaurants. They broke ground for Great Wolf. So the fact that we're there and they're willing to showcase the property to a real degree that we've never had before is really amazing and kind of cool. And, the thing about the mid-year show, which is very important, and even before let me preface this by saying, the thing that's very special about IGA is that it's not just a trade show. It's a place where tribes come together to share notes and share intel and business ideas and government and stuff like that. So, it's more, it has a different type of value than most trade shows. And so the fact that we're there, Chairman, we have a complete agenda, a tribal agenda that's completely different than the commercial side of the business, which I think is very unique and most importantly, very important.
Victor, I think one of the things is hopefully we're not going to be in the middle of a shutdown, a government shutdown, but we continue to be cautious about that. We continue to try to do our best to try to encourage our leaders not to take us down that road. But that's the thing we're concerned about. I think that one of the most important factors here is that we pull our task force together, worked with the National Congress of American Indians and Fawn Sharp, their president. Jason and Larry Wright have been pulling this thing together as well. These things that are happening in the court, these things that are happening around us, the climate change and all the world around us, this stuff has to be looked at, and we have to continue to not just understand and learn and educate. We have to arm our constituency with knowledge, arm them with experience, arm them with interaction, because the only way we're going to fight these kind of battles is to educate the folks about the supreme law of the land, to educate folks about tribal sovereignty, and that Native folks, we're folks have had these kinds of rights since time immemorial. This was given to us by the Creator and the work that we've done together, and we've been doing this, interacting in economic development and gaming and tribes through health concerns and things like this. We've been doing this since time immemorial. So we really have to do our best to help the world understand that the Indian country, our sovereign governments, are taking care of the communities. And you look at that $48 billion industry, guess what? We're taking care of the country or the world around us too, 700,000 employees when you include the gaming world and the offshoot of that. We're employing people, and that's why we have these kind of numbers. When we have these kind of struggles, that means our professionals, our gaming commissions, and our tribal leaders are doing well. And I got to see the KISS concert over at Forest County, Potawatomi. I've never seen KISS before. Gene Simmons, I know him from him coming to the show, but
we were hushing him at the show, man. They had their booth right next to them, and they were like blasting their music. I was like,
yeah. But Rock and Bruce took care of me. They got me right at the front row, and they got me all set. And I tell you, I know all the songs, but I just didn't put it all together. And of course, most of the time I sat down and watched my wife dance.
Wow.
But we also went to a couple of weeks ago. Went to the Beach Boys, and Mike Love asked me about the pandemic, and asked me how we're doing, and I told him right there on the stage when he's starting off his concert at Pokagon in Michigan. And I told him, I said, we're doing good. We're working our way through this. Our numbers are doing good. And we're doing good because of folks like you. And I pointed to the crowd and this crowd around us. We, the Indian gaming family, are doing well. But we have to keep working because, it's the Indian gaming story is good, but we're going to have to help this country like we always have to continue to get on our feet, and that's the bottom line. And we are a major part of that. You see the Beach Boys or Kiss and see these packed crowds. It shows that we're a major part of that. We're going to keep that Indian gaming dollar turning in today's economy and keeping people working.
Absolutely.
Brian, you've been our on ground contact. You want to tell the folks on the call the new stuff that the new venues that Foxwoods has to offer, and it's part of the reason why we were supposed to be there last year, but because of COVID and stuff, they couldn't get it all finished in time, and now they've been up and running, and it's like standing room only in most places, and 6-month reservation time. So we're really hitting them at a high point. You want to tell the folks about it?
Yeah, and Brian, you live in Connecticut. You've actually been there to see a lot of this stuff, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I live in Connecticut. It's about 20 to 30 minutes from where I'm sitting here right now is the Foxwoods property. And if you haven't been there at all, the Foxwoods property is really majestic. It's in the woods. It's beautiful when you come out and around to see the property. It's beautiful property, but so much new is happening there. Just within the last 2 weeks or so, Hell's Kitchen is now open. It's not still under construction. It's open. They're taking reservations and things at Hell's Kitchen. So that's really, really exciting there on it. And under construction as well, it's not on a plan, it's under construction, is the Great Wolf Lodge. So, on the footprint there, it's amazing. If you look at the entire property, from the towers of the hotel to the Great Wolf Lodge, Hell's Kitchen, there's a Hard Rock, Wahlberg's is in there. There's outlets stores there. It goes on and on. I haven't even mentioned casino yet and everything, but all these items are there in one arena with easy access to it all. So the property is beautiful. The brands going in there are unbelievable. As with Hell's Kitchen, that's a Zenith's property. There's already a Hard Rock there. Wahlberg's, I'm not sure that Wahlberg's is going to be open when we get there, but they might just make it there. But all these items are there. It's a beautiful property. As you mentioned, the room blocks have sold out. We've gone back twice to add rooms to it. So it's we've been there, and we're right in the right place for 1 week out, less than a week out.
Yeah, you know what, Brian? I think we're all kind of surprised how many people are going to be attending. And like I was saying, when we had Kiss over at the show, they were like, "We want to rock and roll all night," and I was like, "Guys, it's like noon. You're gonna have to turn it down," And they were actually really great. They come to a lot of our events. Gene and Paul, they're very serious entrepreneurs, just like Mark Wahlberg and stuff like that. But when we were there, well, gosh, when were we in Connecticut, Jason?
Ooh,
2018.
We were at
17 or
Mohegan
18.
Sun.
Yeah,
Right,
Mohegan Sun.
Mohegan Sun. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was when we went there for dinner, and it's all been a whole different of different world since we've last came. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Victor, I'm going over as soon as I land. I'm going over to watch the Mohegan Connecticut Sun women's WNBA play. They're getting close. The playoffs are getting close, and there's a young girl that plays for Connecticut Sun that graduated from the same high school my granddaughter just graduated from. So we're going right to the ball game as soon as we land.
Yeah, you know what? I saw a game when I was there last time too, and it was really good. There's those are amazing players and amazing athletes. They're incredible, and they're fast. Man,
Yeah,
they're
right.
fast.
The gym's right in the casino at Mohegan Sun, Connecticut.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's a great venue too. You know what? I haven't even thought about Mohegan Sun or whether going over there. I've been so focused on Foxwoods and that's one of the things that I love about that place is that you have both of them right next to each other. So so Brian, we don't have a big trade show floor. It's really, this event is more of a networking event. I would call it more, more selective. You don't have thousands and thousands of people. You have hundreds of people, almost 500 people there, and that's a lot for a mid-year show, and it's mostly tribal leaders and tribal people, some of the business people, associate members and stuff like that. For me, what has been the response that you've been hearing from the vendors? Do they like the space? What are they going to get?
They're excited. And the one thing about it, Victor, is typically when we've been on the East Coast in the past, it's been a little bit smaller than the West Coast facilities. But this is bigger and more. There's more coming in. There's about 30 tables that will be in, and at this one when we were first looking at it, it is. We were thinking maybe 18, or so when we first went, and now there's 30 on it. So there's more people registering, and everybody's going to be kind of where the registration is. The tables will be there, so there's a lot of opportunity for the vendors to mill around with tribal leaders on it, and that's important because. As that's where the rubber hits the road is folks introducing their product at that in that arena and then moving from there.
Right. One of the unique things about this show is that the agendas and the agenda has been wrapped around Foxwoods. Because we're a month out from G2E as the conference chairman, which is different than the chairman of the association is Chairman Stevens, by the way. It's just a title. But, I thought it was we were really fortunate because I knew Rodney Chairman Butler really wanted us there. So, when I proposed the idea that all the sessions are about Foxwoods, let's talk about this amazing property and how they're adapting to a competitive marketplace. And I believe the lessons that Foxwoods has learned are very important for the rest of Indian country. So on the first day we have a golf tournament, right, Brian? And
well,
where's
the board meeting is on Monday, and then the golf tournament is on Tuesday at Foxwoods Golf Course.
Oh, right, Tuesday, right. So that's right, I forgot. So where's the golf tournament at?
It's at Foxwoods Course.
Lake of the Isles.
What's it called?
Lake of the Isle.
Lake of the Isles, correct.
So are we having a tournament? What are we doing there?
Yeah, there's a full tournament will be going on there. It starts at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, and then sessions will start on Wednesday. The membership meeting will go on Wednesday, and then more sessions on Thursday. And of course, there's a full regiment for commissioner training as well.
Right. Why should people play golf, Brian? Are we sold out? Are they allowed? Can you gamble on golf? Brian, I haven't been to a golf course. We have a golf course. I look at it through the restaurant, and I look at all the people and their clothes and their carts and stuff and alcohol and wish them good luck. And but I believe they have a really nice course, don't they?
It's a very nice course on it, and it's a networking opportunity. And frankly, perhaps Chairman Stevens, he's always at the golf course or teeing off with the first folks. He's probably better able to answer why it's important to go to the golf tournament.
Well, thank you for teeing me up for that one, Brian. This whole thing was only golf. That's all it was before. And it was always a small golf outing on mid-year. And now it's really kind of taken off. We don't really have a big, room for a big golf outing in mid-year. But also what's kind of challenged me is that then the sessions took off. And then all of a sudden, this is a giant day, So before we even get to our Wednesday meetings, we're already rolling. So networking, and call it what you want, but we're out there having a good time, and it's kind of what it's all about. But at the same time, there's a bunch of folks that don't golf and they're inside, and so there's something for everybody to do. But yeah, this used to be just a little sideshow, a few teams and having fun. Now it's taken off. Our sessions are taking off. So that Tuesday is a big day. Then we come into our welcome reception, which is always huge. And so we're hitting the ground. That's really what all those folks that are either working or golfing or shopping or hitting the mall or over at Mohican and are in the Foxwoods Mall. Then we all kind of come together in that reception. And again, you hit the ground running on Wednesday. We have our membership meeting, which is our highlight, and all those training sessions are going on, and even the kind of trade show booth aspect of this thing was small in the old days, and now that this thing that continues to be something that continues to grow. So we want to focus on our message in our membership meeting. We want to focus on our training, our gaming commissioner training, and our sessions. There's where we want to focus. We also we have the John Kiefer Memorial Luncheon on Wednesday. That's important. John Kiefer was, when I was a young man in my 30s, a young tribal councilman, understudy to Rick Hill. I used to watch these guys go to work, and I remember watching John and Rick and Tim Wapato and Gay and all these different leaders going to work, and John Kiefer was one of those guys, and from the Spokane tribe in Washington. So we've honored him every year. I don't have the recipient of the awardee for that luncheon, but the luncheon is pretty much bringing the leadership together. So I really think we have a heck of an agenda here, and I really think that we're looking forward to a great crowd. And I think there's some folks that never see will never see the Mohican Sun or the Mashantucket tribal nation or the Foxwoods layout. They'll never see it if it wasn't for this conference. So I think it's really a good show. We're looking forward to it.
Chairman, I noticed we have a really special speaker. We have Chief Lynn Malerbo, Treasurer of the United States. That I was kind of shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, I'll let Jason tell you a little bit more about that. But I'll tell you, from my perspective, I've known Lynn since she was the chairman of the Mohican tribe, but she is the chief for life of her community. But
Yeah.
to have her to come into her position she currently holds now is an amazing accomplishment by a Native American leader. And I don't think it's really, I shouldn't say accomplishment, because I don't think it's really something she accomplished. I think that the United States of America needed a good leader, and that's what they came up with. Chief Malerba is a beautiful person, an intelligent person, and a hardworking tribal leader.
That's really cool. I know she's from the Mohegan tribe, and I know she was in leadership there. Like you said, she's chief immemorial, or I forgot, emeritus.
Yeah.
And but that's pretty cool, Jason. How'd that come together, man?
Because she is actually doing her job as treasury at the Treasury Department, and when COVID happened, we found that there was a dearth of tribal information at the Treasury Department, because you had to get all the COVID relief money out there, and the Treasury Department was facilitating all of it. And they had no good numbers on Indian country employment, how much we mean to the U.S. economy. I mean, it was unbelievable. And, she's there now trying to help build databases so that we can show people in Congress in particular, this is how Indian economies work. This is what it's contributing on the reservation. This is how much money it's saving the U.S. government and state governments, frankly. And she's there just, doing her job for the United States, but also, bringing in all elements of society that contribute, that are a lot of times aren't looked at as important, or just so small that it's insignificant. But it's never insignificant to the people that have a job in a rural area or a poverty-stricken area. Any kind of job, any kind of economic activity is a lifesaver and a life changer for youth coming up. So she's out there preaching that. She's been so great about making all the tribal conferences, and she's got a great staff. She has folks from NCAI working for her, former NCAI employees, and she's really just put together a great team. And we love having her there, and she's going to come and share that information with us again. And I'm talking everything from tribal tax credits for clean energy to, if you're a tribe, if you want to build a battery plant on your reservation, all these incentives are out there for Indian country to even ingrain itself more into the U.S. economy through all these programs from the Infrastructure Act. And, one last point on that, back in the day when this country did, major infrastructure overhaul, and I'm talking 1800s with the railroads and everything, they didn't ask tribes. They just laid everything right across the reservation and said, we're taking an easement across your reservation. So too bad, so sad. They did that with military installations too. So, nowadays it's like, no, you can't just put up a wind farm off our coast, or, we're not going to let you just come mine, strip mine a mountain for lithium. These are things that, tribes of course want to help out on, and the climate change is real. It's 100 degrees in DC today. It's never happened in September before. And, we're going to be looking at this stuff, and we're glad she's there. And our conference really is centered around these important issues, because whatever she's going to talk about is going to be picked up at the IGA NCAI task force meeting, which we're devoting half of our membership meeting all afternoon Wednesday with the IGA NCAI task force meeting.
Yeah, you sure do. I don't know. It's really great to see how this thing has evolved from this really small little conclave. I remember when we were in Seneca, what was that, like 7, 8 years ago? And I was like, what are we supposed to do on that one day? And Brian goes, well, there's a Tim Hortons. You know what I mean? That was his response. So, it's just has really turned into something a little more than, it's evolved, and it feels very organic. Which I like. Whenever you try to shoehorn these things or force fit them, they never seem to work, and you're trying to tell everybody how important they are, and it just seems to fly over their head. But I think this feels important.
And Chairman brought up, the specter of a government shutdown, which is very real. And that, October 1st is the drop dead date on that. But our timing of our conference, I think we lucked out again, Victor, with the timing. Because, once the federal government shuts down, most tribes cancel all travel shortly thereafter, just because we have a lot of federal employees on the reservation. A lot of payments get processed through the Department of Interior for our reservation economies. So, that's a looming specter. And then today you flip on the news, there is a hurricane coming up, and it is, I finally saw it's going to head north at some point. They don't know how far north, but we can just hope that it doesn't interrupt too many flights on the East Coast coming out there, West Coast to East Coast. But I think we'll be okay. It doesn't look, I think they can fly through rain still. But, that's, another who knew we'd, Brian, you said you have had, I guess back, I forget when that hurricane hit New Jersey and flooded New Jersey that time.
Yeah,
that was
a
also
while back.
But that was wasn't even that just a glancing, like category 1, and it just sort of brushed up, and it's a beach, low-lying area.
Yeah, every once in a while the East Coast will get hit. Up here in Connecticut, we've had them. And it gets windy. It really depends. But most of them, when they come in, they seem to kind of come up, go to like the Carolinas, and the breeze will just take it right back out. So that's what we're hoping for on this one too. And it's so early now. It's too early to tell. I think it's going to be in Puerto Rico over the weekend. But then again, all we need is a good wind to come from the west, and that'll push it out into the Atlantic.
I just set my weather channel for Connecticut too, because I was totally clueless on what that. You know what? Listen, I go from airport to cab to hotel to cab to airport home. You know what I mean? I don't see the sun. I don't go outside, and so thanks for reminding us about that. So yeah, thanks for screwing it up, Brian. I had this thing on like great.
Hurricane Lee.
You got a hurricane talking.
Changed my name to Lee.
I guess we should mention it. Golf will be rain or shine, correct?
So. Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I have a friend that flew into that hurricane last year in Florida, and we got trapped and landed right as it was happening. So I checked before I fly now. to make sure. Hey, Jason, after Chief Malherbe, we have a session on sports betting and tribal gaming. You're moderating that. Thank you for not inviting me. I appreciate it. I'm glad I don't have to be on this session. Thank you. What are you guys going to be talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get some tribal leaders from around the country. Unfortunately, Oklahoma rep Matthew Morgan on our board can't make it. We're still waiting to hear from some folks out west, but just again, football season started up, and sports betting's in the news again, and we've got potential challenges across the country. We have the governor of Oklahoma, our favorite guy. He's threatening to put sports betting as a ballot initiative to just open it up to everybody in Oklahoma and just trounce over tribal exclusivity. You have challenges in Oregon with the lotteries trying to do up there with sports betting and internet betting in particular. So we want to, take these issues head on. The interesting thing, just like our numbers in Indian country are exploding, 44 billion in gaming revenue. These sports betting guys seem to have turned a corner, Victor. Their numbers are a little better. I still don't know how much of a profit they're turning, but the demand is there, and you're seeing just incredible sign up for sports books across the country. It's more and more states on the East Coast. North Carolina is legalized now. So you have North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, just right up the, that's
Kansas, Missouri's on the precipice there.
So that,
but I think with Kansas just opening up recently, and then obviously Nebraska is a big one that just happened in the Midwest. So, that's putting a lot more pressure on some of the other states in there.
So as we look at it, and Wisconsin's going to be an established market this year with, they're up and running at the start of football season rather than during it, as opposed to last year. So you'll get a better readout of how the tribes are doing in the Midwest. But, there's three, you got the albatrosses there, California, Texas, and I'll include Oklahoma, not because of their population. They're just around 3 million folks there, but Oklahoma, obviously that's where, all our tribes are in Oklahoma. And it is for a smaller state. It's so intensive in sports, and even down to high school sports. So, they live and breathe it down there. And it's an important market because it borders Texas. And obviously the Texas market contributes a lot to Indian gaming in Oklahoma. So, and then the California fights from last year, that's going to go on through next year again, I presume. And we've got to just work with our tribes in each of these regions and make sure that they can get the best deal that they can. Because evidence is starting to come out there that, maybe giving up your exclusivity, for short-term gain or short-term access might not be the best way to approach, making some money, or even just using sports betting as a entertainment vehicle for your casino. You kind of need that motivation for folks to come to your property. So the evidence is coming out there. So that's what we're going to delve into. And our friends there are really up against it. And it'll bleed over into the task force in the afternoon as well, because a lot of these attacks, and Chairman can tell you, is they're related to a lot of these Supreme Court cases where, these sports betting companies want to treat us as an unfair racial advantage of, that's why they can't get into the gambling market, because these Indians have an unfair advantage.
It's the same old. They've been screaming about that since Poker Stars, and it's the same strategy. But I think they have better lobbyists this time. Now, you know what? I would highly recommend someone from Foxwoods too. You know what I mean? And talk about how they're evolving in Connecticut and stuff like that.
Yes, you're right.
Still much to go. Things are in motion in California. It's still everyone's playing it very close to their chest. All their cards are very close to their chest, but I don't think a market like California can be, eventually it'll get there, but I think the tribes want to make sure it's on their terms. Like you said, these access deals just aren't great deals for the tribes. So I think the California tribes have seen the mistakes in a lot of the other states. They've seen the strategies, and again, they were prepared last year. And that's the big thing from last year too. We had the election in California with the tribes. Remember that. No, actually that happened in mid-year because we were after it. But that was a big deal. You know what I mean? So it will be a matter of time before California is back in play. You know what I mean? But I think for us, it's our job to stay on top of this and have these discussions. And again, that's what makes this conference unique from others, is that it is tribes talking amongst themselves, which is what this organization has always been about. And what people to remember, and Chairman, I know you remember, is that the evolution of this organization before the internet, it was fax machines, and it was now these days, at one point, people couldn't afford to jump on an airplane and fly to Foxwoods. Right, Chairman? People would pass the hat and they'd hope to meet somewhere down the road, somewhere local. Maybe we'll get to Oklahoma City, maybe we'll get to Minnesota, if we're lucky. And the NCAI was so important, and now I think IGA has involved in this just very, very important and powerful organization that educates, and there's nothing more important than that. And I think that's why this year at Foxwoods, the one things that I'm most proud of is the fact that our conference agenda is wrapped around Foxwoods, about the business of Foxwoods, about how they're using innovation, how they're reinventing the casino experience for young people, how they're working with their entrepreneurship, their business, Wonder Nation, and what that means for the tribe, and how that's out the tip of the spear for them for business development, the branding, franchising. So everything they do, sports betting. And then, the thing that I'm most proud of, and I thought was a crazy idea, I asked them, I was like, listen, why don't you talk about how, if you're a supplier or a vendor, how you do business with Foxwoods, how you get through the front door, what's your procurement process, how do you get selected, what do we got to do to become better companies in your eyes to get hired? And they said yes. So, while the tribal meetings are going on, we have these 3 other meetings. And by the way, they end just in time for the John Kiefer luncheon too. So everything is, while the tribes are talking business and politics, the people who are there and aren't tribal have a whole other agenda to keep them occupied. And I think it's a very powerful agenda. And so, we did have a comment here, but I think it had to do with hurricanes. Marvin Peralt. Hey, Marvin. Hurricane Lee still far off, too early to make any releases from ABC News. Oh man, I'm just glad, you know what I mean? I think that's the last thing we need is another hurricane, well, you saw what happened here in California. We had so-called hurricane warnings and stuff like that. And it hit Palm Springs, but it bypassed, where I live in Temecula, California, was right in the path. And like a typical got to California, forgot what it was supposed to do, and wandered off to Palm Springs. And, so it's typical, happens all the time. We've seen this many, many times. Gentlemen,
Victor,
yeah,
Victor, we in Wisconsin, here up in Indian country here near Green Bay, Wisconsin, not only do we have the best football team, but we usually have the best weather, but the other day, my wife and I went out for an all-day bike ride, and when we got home, we found out it was the record highest heat in history. It was like 90 something degrees in Green Bay. And I guess maybe it's a good time for a workout, but the weather is different. And like I said, climate change, it's real. But what I wanted to say just real quickly is as we get ready, deal with this record heat, and hopefully this hurricane will get itself out to the ocean. But we also set the table for 2024, which is big time. And also we set the table for the G2E conference coming up, and an NCAI conference coming up. So we got a lot of work to do, and it gives us a time to set the table to get our work done and educate our folks so that they're ready to go. And obviously every place in between, including right to the end of the year, we're going to be in Washington, D.C. and showing a strong presence. And that's where we need the leadership. We need our constituents. We need our gaming commissioners, all those folks to really be up to speed so we can get these issues out there with the NCI NIGA task force and whatever else. We get ready for the big election in 2024. We're nonpartisan, but we're going to get as many Indians and our employees, Indian gaming family out there is going to have a strong show at the polls coming up this year. So I just wanted to add that real quick and just let you guys know that we can't do this without the hard work of Indian country. Our leadership, our regulators, our employees, they're all major factors in the world we live in.
We have a question. Chairman, you're right. You're absolutely right. This is going to be a great show. I can't wait.
They're asking about our coordination with NCAI. I mean, of course, Chairman and Fawn we're meeting at the mid-year, and this was planned. This is officially only the second task force meeting. We provided an update at our Ledge Summit in July. So, the second task force meeting, we're willing to take. We want tribal leaders to give us more information, more issues that are impacting them regionally. And then, we're taking the show to NCAI annual in New Orleans in November. So, we'll see what happens. It's hard to see this government shutdown that's looming lasting as long as the one under Trump did, which was, well over a month. But, it'll be tough. And the Mexico Pueblos out there, we met with them in August. They kind of caught us off guard because they were already asking about it and wondering about the effects because the last one was so bad for Indian country. And I remember Ernie had to come in and we were making recordings, and it was really just a really bad time. It happened to be over the Christmas holidays, so people enjoyed it at first, but when you don't go back to work at the new year and now you can't make mortgage payments and car payments and everything else. And then tribes, of course, are adversely and I would say more impacted than anyone else in the country, just on the nature of our federal trust relationship with a lot of payments that have to be processed by federal workers. And they are not going to be deemed essential government workers. They go off on furlough, and that hurts every aspect of tribal government. On down to police and fire and rescue. So, but we'll be out there again with the task force at NCI. Chairman Stevens is the head of the NCI Gaming Task Force, and that's probably where we'll do the bulk of the work. But I'm sure we'll carve out some time at NCI membership meeting too to give everybody a good update.
So if you're a tribe, and Chairman, this is Jason. If you're a tribe, and why should a tribe come? Why should we get more tribes? Why should more tribes attend?
I just, I think I've said it and I'll say it again, that we are the voice, we are the teachers, we are the students, so it just depends on what angle you're at. I'm learning something new every day, but at the same time, we have a job to teach and to advocate and to educate. And we start within our own corner with our own circle, and we work our way out to Washington, D.C. And it's really important that we get this message out there. Like I was in my 30s when I used to watch Rick do this with Gosh Kabosh and Ron Allen and the late Joe Garcia. I watched these and so, but I'm in my 23rd year here, so I've had to work with the NCAI presidents again, the late Joe Garcia and others. Joe comes to mind because we so recently passed away. We know what we have to do, and that's why we went to President Sharp and to Executive Director Larry Wright, Jason and I, and we did that at the direction of our executive board, and we moved this initiative forward because we have to continue to let folks know the contemporary issues, the historical issues we carry. We carry a big responsibility here, and we need every single one of our tribal leaders, our gaming regulators, and our employees to understand where we're coming from and what we need to do going forward. So it's really important time right now.
Yeah, I agree. Jason, I think we have a couple comments. It's 10:45. See,
Yeah,
okay,
no, that was about it. We was just about our work with NCAI. I mean, and I think that's, Victor, we're just really impressed with folks that are willing to come out to the mid-year and make the extra effort on the travel. And I think it's going to be a great show. And again, our timing, we just keep getting lucky like this. The full Congress returns next week. We'll be in our mid-year. We'll come out of the mid-year with a message for them. And, we've got too much going on across the country for a government shutdown. And you heard people again today, unfortunately, Congress people saying, a shutdown isn't that big of a deal. It's just crazy, some of the comments that are coming out. And people forget, I get it. Most people don't work for the federal government, but the only reason that last shutdown ended, it ended almost overnight, like it never even happened after, 40 plus days, was because the air traffic controllers and the airlines went to the Trump administration and said, we're having too many near misses. We don't have enough people at work. We don't have enough ground people on the ground crew. And then there was also like a listeria outbreak, and the federal food monitor people had been furloughed, and too many things started happening, and you shouldn't have to get to that crisis level. The unfortunate thing is tribes were already dealing with that, weeks before that crisis level. There was bad snowstorms and the BIA couldn't clear reservation roads. Tribes didn't have resources. There was one story about a woman who, had her baby in the back of a police cruiser on the Navajo reservation because she couldn't get out to the hospitals. So, that's our main focus here at this mid-year, and we're going to carry it right on into NCAI and through this fall, and hopefully avoid a shutdown in October.
You said NCI is in New Orleans, right?
Correct. November 13th to the 17th.
And Chairman, you will be there, right? Obviously, you're on the board, so I'm sure you'll be there.
I'm not on
Gotta
the board. I'm the chairman of the gaming subcommittee.
Oh, Chairman, the same. Yeah, I haven't been in New Orleans in 1,000 years. I'm sure it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed much. Well, at one point we were talking about taking our show to New Orleans. That was
right. It was up there.
Yeah, it was up there.
They're at the brand new NCI's at the brand new convention center. So it should be a good show. I think it'll attract again a lot of folks are going to probably attend that as well. So
yeah, I bet. So, all right, gentlemen, is there anything more we'd like to add?
No, just keep working it, keep helping each other and getting us up to speed. Again, whether it's the shutdown, hopefully things will work itself out, but we can't take that for granted. We can't afford to go back there. And as far as our role in Washington, obviously we have to educate the Congress. That's our bottom line, but we have to be able to educate each other and help each other understand it before we can get that message out there. So that's one of the reasons we come together. And like I said, this is my 23rd year as going into NCAI, and my 23rd year, or it's my 23rd year in the Indian Gaming Association. But NCAI in New Orleans will be my 30th year. I've not missed an NCAI annual, have not missed a executive session. I have not missed a mid-year in 30 years. That's because my father told me, if you want to do this, you got to do it right. You got to work hard.
You really are the Iron Man. I'm going to call AC and let him know that you're going to take his name.
I'll take that one. No, I won't. AC's
I mean, that's amazing, but that's, that's Indian country. You know what I mean? That's Indian country. That's what we do. That's a commitment that we make. And that's pretty incredible. That's a long conference usually. And there's a lot of work there. There's a lot of business being taken care of. And it always reminds me of Indian country, just the many different faces and tribes, places, people you won't meet in tribal gaming. So it's always a really unique place and stuff. So Brian, brother, thank you. So if people want to come there, are we out of our room block, or what have we done?
There's a few left. If it says on the website, if it says that we're sold out, but call this number, call the number on there, because things always are massaging who's coming in what one day and not the other. So if it says no or it's closed, call the number that's on there. That's the best thing to do. And the team will help you find a room.
Yeah, and listen, the tribe has been incredibly receptive, and they really just open up their arms, and it's just been so phenomenal working with them. It's as always, actually, everywhere we go, but this has just been over the top. And
Brian, our Tuesday night welcome reception is where?
Right in by where the exhibits are. So just come to the Premier Ballroom. Everything is in and around the Premier Ballroom. We're going to do a meet the exhibitors, and then there's another one. Then the regular reception, basically in the same area, just outside, will be the regular welcome reception.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, that's Brian said is that we're over in the new Fox Tower, I believe, and they've kind of put everything in that area. So it's a new showcase space for them, and it's great for us because everybody will be in the same area, easy to find. If you're easy to find, it's easy to network, and that's what we like. So that's great. So listen, everyone, we won't be here next week. Obviously, we'll be in Connecticut. We'll try to be the week after that. We have G2E coming up after that, so we'll talk about our agenda for that. We've got a show IGB Live. We're going to be sending out a call for papers soon for our annual conference. That big monster will be coming. Say that from someone who has to work and wrestle that Goliath, because it's turned into such a big show. And we had such an incredible success in San Diego last year. And where are we next year?
Anaheim.
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 Now it'll be
April
different. It'll we won't be
April
the post-pandemic blues as last time, right?
Right. We're a week
right.
after Easter, so
Right.
yeah.
We had to deal with the
18,
Easter last time,
13,
right?
Right.
Correct.
We're looking to do a much better show at Anaheim this time, now that we're familiar with it.
Right.
Well,
April 8 to 11.
The thing I liked about Anaheim was that everything was close to each other, and I liked that the hotel was across and the facility and stuff like that. So there's a lot of positives in that space also. But okay, and then also I believe we'll be talking about ice at some point too. So it just, and then the circle continues and continues. It just never ends.
Right.
So all right, gentlemen, I want to thank all of our readers and listeners. And remember, when this is done, you can watch it or send it to your friends. It'll be on YouTube. Chairman Stevens, thank you very much for showing up. Brian, thank you so much, my friend, working hard. We appreciate you. Jason, my brother, great again seeing you. I will see everybody on Monday in Connecticut. So thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Take
you
care.
all. Sure. Bye now.
Bye.